Hospital wards run on intense effort. You manage critical, highly complex cases around the clock, doing whatever it takes to stabilize your patients. In an ideal system, the clinical effort you deliver would translate directly into proportional resources and funding for the hospital. But under current models, our actual budgets often miss the reality of the floor. When clinical workload isn't fully captured in the data, heavy cases can end up underfunded. To bridge this gap, we use CaseMix. This video explains how to write a precise discharge summary to ensure the data actually matches the care you provide. The accuracy of our institutional funding relies on the final minutes of an admission. This shift in how we complete discharge paperwork is what allows the system to see and ultimately fund the true complexity of your work. The central engine behind this data is MyCMEX. This platform takes the clinical management you document and translates it into standardized, quantifiable units. MyCMX relies on two distinct languages to process a patient's stay. The newer ICD-11 system is used exclusively for diagnoses, capturing specific details like condition severity, cause, and laterality. The older ICD-9-CM system is used strictly for procedural interventions. Now, there is a common misconception about how this system gets its information. Medical coders do not read the entire patient file. They rely almost entirely on the specific discharge documents. For manual records, the primary document used for this data extraction is the boring per PD 301. For electronic records, they look specifically at the discharge notes entered into the MPIS system. This means if a clinical event, complication, or procedure isn't explicitly written on the per PD 301 or MPIS note, the system assumes it never happened. Because coders focus on the discharge summary, incomplete information on these specific forms is our biggest vulnerability. The most frequent gaps are missing primary diagnoses, unlisted comorbidities, forgotten complications, or omitting that the patient required ICU escalation. These details determine the severity of illness, or SOI. The system assigns your patient an SOI automatically, based purely on the complications and major procedures you document. This chart shows resource weight for a major case. A patient with pneumonia, septic shock, and multi-organ failure pushes the bar to severity of illness 3. If a physician forgets to write septic shock, the case instantly drops to severity 1, stripping away resource weights. Using vague, unconfirmed terms like viral fever or to rule out causes the same downgrade because the system cannot code unconfirmed conditions. When documentation is poor, DRG accuracy fails. It makes an exhausting, resource-heavy clinical workload look light and inexpensive to funding bodies. The discharging team holds the power to fix this data gap. You are the final quality check. To create a CaseMix optimized summary, your documentation needs to include 4 specific elements. First, provide a specific main diagnosis demanding the most resources. Next, list relevant comorbidities that impacted care. Then, state any acute complications that arose. Finally, document major procedures and escalations, omitting routine tasks like venipunctures. When these 4 areas are complete, the CaseMix system sees the true clinical picture. It justifies the resources spent and ensures the hospital receives fair compensation. Mastering CaseMix documentation is a shared clinical quality responsibility. It takes teamwork across the entire unit. The institution is actively rolling out support to help you, including continuous education, clinical documentation audits, and dedicated case reviews. Nurses play a crucial role by reviewing the forms and flagging missing information before the patient physically leaves the ward. Clinicians, please take an extra minute when filling out the per PD 301 or MPIS note to tell the patient's full, precise clinical story. Accurate documentation honors the care your team provides every day. It translates your dedication directly into the tools and funding this hospital needs for the future.